I wanted to make a few videos, so I decided to put my butt to the grindstone and actually do it. So I'm smoking. Sue me. I was inspired by Alinsky. Earlier I posted a video of William F. Buckley, and he actually had Alinsky on his program. And Alinsky was doing something that you don't see anymore on TV, and that is people smoking because it is against the PC mentality that he helped create. I remember reading somewhere that one time he refused to give a speech that he had committed himself to because it took place, if I remember correctly, in a church, and they asked him not to smoke. And he was like, if I can't smoke, I'm not giving a speech. They backed down. They let him smoke. It just goes to show how everything with the socialist is about themselves and their own personal power. They go ahead and preach their garbage, but it's all about power. For somebody that always preaches the greater good, what it really comes down to is human greed, human desire. The preaching of socialist man, the perfect socialist man that needs to be created, is not even possible by those that lead the movement. It's complete anarchy. It's complete chaos. It's completely ridiculous. But I didn't want to talk about that idiot or smoking. What I wanted to talk about was this strategy that the Hillary campaign is putting forth. They want to remake her as somebody that's approachable, a common person, someone that you can sit down and talk with. Sort of like the whole adage that that personality that W had, to where everyone thought they could sit down and have a beer with him and talk to him. Or the personality that Clinton had, that you could sit down and have dinner with him and he'd try to molest your wife or daughter, or both. Now, how in the hell they're going to accomplish this with Hillary, make her out to be a normal person? I'm not buying it. Hillary hasn't driven a car, if I remember correctly, in 24 years now. 24 years and she hasn't driven a car. There's no excuse for that. I'm not buying that garbage. What an elitist snob. She's above driving. I love to drive. And I know many people don't love to drive, but if I was to fall for a Democrat's BS, it wouldn't be Hillary being a normal person as she's going around Iowa in the Scooby van. Keyword is going around. They said driving, but she doesn't drive. She's being driven around, chauffeured by the Secret Service in her Scooby van. They're trying to make her out to be normal. They're trying to make her into being in something that she's not. But if I was to fall for a Democrat's BS, it would be Lyndon Johnson. What? I'm sorry, I shouldn't smoke. The reason why I say this is I remember a story of Lyndon Johnson, many stories, in fact. He was actually quite the character. He gave an interview to a reporter on his personal ranch in Texas. He was driving a pickup truck with the reporter on the passenger side doing 70 on the trails with an open beer in his lap. That's something no candidate or president would dare do today. And yes, I respect him for that. Of course, he loved to shock people, and that may have just been his way of trying to shock someone. But Hillary, they try and make her out to be a normal person. How? How can you possibly accomplish this? She is such an elitist snob that she thinks the presidency is owed to her. That somehow or another, for the past 43 years, she's put in dues and she deserves, she is owed the presidency. I'm sorry. No one owes you anything, Hillary. No one owes you a damn thing. There's also something else. I remember reading one time. Someone said the worst job in America is that of president. And anyone that wants it is a fool. Well, luckily for us, there are a lot of fools in this country. And I admit I'm a fool too, because I would actually think I could do something to better the country. The question is the motivation of that fool. And Hillary wants it so damn bad. She wants it more than anyone else I can imagine. Anyone, you can pick any president that has, any one of the 45 that we have had. I'm sorry, 44. My apologies, slip. Any one of the 44 we've had. I guarantee you, she wants it more than they do. More than any one of them have. We started off with the most humble of persons to become president. George Washington, known as the American Cincinnatus, because they asked him to do a third term and he said no. He walked away. They wanted him to be king. He said no, we should not have a king. Every temptation to abuse his power, he rejected, that I am aware of. There might be some little trivial things in there that historians might argue over. But even during the Whiskey Rebellion, which, I'm sorry, this is turning into a history lesson, my apologies. But even during the Whiskey Rebellion, which he led an army larger than any army he ever led during the Revolutionary War. He marched across to put down the Pennsylvania to put down the rebellion. And there was like 2 or 3 individuals, if I remember correctly, that were actually captured, tried, sentenced to death, and Washington immediately pardoned them. He described one as being an idiot. So the Whiskey Rebellion was just blown up BS. Sort of like Hillary, because she's actually the subject of this video. But Hillary wants it this so bad that any sane and rational person would say, no, she cannot be trusted. This cannot happen. I don't think it's going to happen. She has way too much baggage to be able to accomplish this feat. She might have been able to pull it off in 2000 if she could have taken out Gore. Maybe. Because there was still all those good feelings towards Bill. And it's really weird that there are still all these good feelings towards Bill. I was a slut when I was younger, and I think that man was a bigger slut than I ever dreamed of being. And I'm just going to leave that at that before I end up making myself look any worse than I already have with that comment. I'm sorry, I just completely distracted myself. This is going to be so entertaining. Not necessarily because of all the good, qualified, sincere candidates that are trying for the GOP, but the train wreck and revolution that is actually happening within the Democratic Party. Because so many Democrats want Elizabeth Warren because Hillary is not far enough to the left. After Obama, it's like, Hillary? What do we want to act like Republicans for? Republicans are like, hey, you guys own her. We don't want her. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the civil war within the Democrat Party develops. I think any backstabbing that goes on there will be a lot uglier than anything that happens within the Republican Party. So sit back, get some popcorn, maybe throw a few things at the person that you dislike the most, but enjoy the show, my conservative brothers and sisters, because it is going to be a sight to see. Much love to everyone on the right and to all of you on the left foolish enough to watch this video in whole. There's your reward.